You're on.
All right. Hey, everybody. All right, so we just went over the basics of one-point perspective, getting some squares drawn and cubes that were 3D. But you're not only going to be doing cubes. Let's talk about some more complex shapes here. Now, quick review. We always start linear perspective of any type, 1, 2, or 3 or multi-point perspective, with a singular line. That line separates the ground and the sky. It's called the horizon line. So using some kind of straight edge, go ahead and add one into your drawing. Now again, the horizon line can be up high, it can be down low, but for the sake of practice, it's a little bit easier to stick it kind of near the middle. Horizon line. Now, somewhere along this line lives the vanishing point. It can go anywhere on the line. It can go on the right, in the middle, on the left. It can even exist way off the edge of our paper as long as it's on the imaginary continuation of that horizon line. But for the sake of practice, again, we're just gonna put it somewhere near the middle. Bam. All right. Now, to start our complex shapes, we're gonna keep it a little bit on the simpler side. We're gonna do kind of a shape like this. And you can see where I'm gonna put mine, which is right over this way. So here's gonna be the one side, and I'm gonna do it kind of big so you can see it. But what's a little different than yesterday is I'm actually going to be on top of my horizon line. Yesterday we went above or below. It might actually be the same video for y'all. It was yesterday for me. We did above and below. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw mine in, you draw your in, and I'll see you in a second. All right, so here's our shape. And so remember, our next step after drawing the front part of our shape is to draw those diagonals, which is our receding lines in, which is our receding lines over here. Those receding lines are the lines that move backwards in space. I forgot to label the vanishing point. Go figure. Be funny. So let's go ahead and do those. Remember, you do need a straight edge for this. If you don't use a straight edge, it's really obvious and it gets really sad and sloppy. Something will end up looking like it's halfway melted. We're gonna be in Dali's The Persistence of Memory. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. So I'm gonna come in from all of my corners, just like I do with a cube, towards my vanishing point. So give me a second and I will catch up with you. All right, so here we are with our receding lines. They look like this. What I want you to note is that there's a lot of lines that are really close together. So in our next step, where we're drawing the back side of our objects, so like if you're looking over here, we're gonna go like make a cube. When we're drawing the back side of our objects, we need to be very careful to be paying close attention to which of our receding lines we're actually needing to work between. With our cubes from yesterday, or from, well, I guess earlier in the video, super easy. Didn't have too much difficulty figuring out what was what. But in here, where we have a lot of lines close together and a more complex shape, you gotta be a little more careful. So I'm gonna start with this line right here, and I'm going to be going between these two receding lines. So let us draw here. Those two, those. This one's gonna come down. So this is another one that's going to be very easy to mix up because I know I need to come down all the way to the bottom, and my brain sometimes wants to take me to this receding line, but it's actually this one that I need to go to. So this comes straight across. This one goes up until this one here. And it should go straight across at that point. So if you look at it, what you're going to notice is that the front shape and the back shape are exactly the same. It's the same shape. They should be almost perfect for one another, except that the back shape, because it's further away, is going to be much smaller. All right, so now from here, we have all of the lines that we need to keep in order to have our shape. But at this point, our shape is wires and sticks, and we need it to be solid and blocky. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna erase any of the receding lines that are out past this smaller shape. I know I don't need any of them. The next thing I can come and erase is anything inside my first shape that I drew. That's the front. Since my front is going to be solid, I'm not going to need anything to be showing through there. It's not invisible. Now at this point, I should have a pretty clear idea of what sides I still need to keep. I just need to be kind of careful. Now around here where I have this zigzag, this is going to come in front, so I know I still need to keep this section right here. And this will take a little bit of practice. Sometimes you might end up messing up and erasing the wrong thing. I need this side right here, so I'm going to erase all of this. And I'm going to be left with something that looks a little bit like a chunky piano. So this is awesome. But I'm going to show you how to do something kind of tricksy. I'm going to show you how to put a hole in it. And a hole right here wouldn't be any different. You could just build it in whenever you're first going. What's a little different is if I make a hole on this side, the side that's going backwards in space, you know, the one that's like shrinking. So here's what we're going to do. First off, I want you to take a look right here. On this side, all of my vertical lines, the lines that go up and down, are remaining to go up and down. All of my lines that are going across the top, those are all still side to side. Nothing's weird about that. Over here on this side, however, my up and down lines do remain up and down, but my side to side lines are not side to side. They are tilting. This is something that you need to keep in mind whenever you're drawing anything on the sides, on the receding sides of buildings, objects, furniture, whatever have you. The ups and the downs, or rather, I should say more easily, all of the sides should do what the sides of the edge of the thing are. All right, so to start this off, since I want kind of to make this into a little bench or like a little desk where my feet could come under here, I'm gonna draw those up and down lines because there's nothing weird about them. I can just add those in. Wha-bam. And over here. Wha-bam. Something like that. Now, if I was playing the A game, I'd make this one a little bit further apart and this one a little closer together because, again, the sides are over here are much smaller and this one should be bigger. But that's if I'm running my A+ game. All right. Now, again, if I went straight across, that's going to look funny. It doesn't look right. The bottom's already made for me. It's already part of my object. But this one needs to tilt. And it's not just tilting anywhere. Just like anything else, this is a line that is receding in space. It is one of my receding lines, meaning it's going to go to my vanishing point right here. So I'm going to line up there, go right here, bam. To be completely honest, once you're used to doing this, you can draw these lines in any order. You could draw the top first and then the two lines. You could draw this line, then the top line, then this other line. It really doesn't matter. But once you're used to it and you've kind of figured out your own system, that's when it's going to be most useful. But this is still just a sign on the side of my object. It's not a hole yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come make this gap between my two little legs. Erase that part right there. Magical. But this is now just kind of a not 3D anything. It's just kind of floating in space. Kind of looks weird. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add the bottom. Bottom comes straight across right here. So I'm going to draw a line that goes straight across. I'm almost there, but I'm still looking kind of funny because I have one more corner to address. It's this one right here. Now, if you've drawn yours a little bit different, say that your entire object is lower down and or your horizon line is up higher, this line might not be tilting up. It might be more level, or it might be going down. If your little top right here is level, it's like just straight across, then you're not going to need the line that I'm about to show you. If your line is going down, you're still not going to need that line that I'm about to show you. I'm only showing you this line because it happens that I happen to be looking up, and I need to see the bottom side of this inside part. So if it helps you kind of see it, here's some shading, really rough. And you have a hole in the side of your object. It's really cool. All right, now that's not the only kind of complex shape we need to think about. There's one more. So, all of this, straight edges. Cubes, straight edges. You know what also exists? Not straight edges. So what is the simplest curve form that you can think of? probably a circle. Now, if you're not perfectly great at drawing circles, don't worry about it. This can be an oval if that's what you're find an easier time drawing. But here I've got a circle. Now, my receding lines, all of these lines that came from my corners, you'll notice I have no corners to attach them to. So what I need to find are the edges of my curves. And a circle's only gonna have 2 of these. Makes your life easier. But here's how you're gonna find it. You're gonna come from your vanishing point, and you're gonna treat this vanishing point like there's a little dial or like a little rod that comes in and it spins around that vanishing point. And anytime that rod hits my curve, that's where my receding line comes from. So again, I'm gonna have my little straight edge here, and it pivots around this point until, bam, I hit my object. This right here is where my receding line comes from. So my receding line is going to be right there. Looks like this. Now, clearly I'm not done. I don't have my second one over here. I'm gonna come in from the other side, do the same thing. Again, it's gonna be like I'm twisting, pivoting around that vanishing point. It's gonna hit right here, and that's where that's gonna be. Quick question, make a guess. Is this a sphere or is it a cylinder? I want you to think pretty briefly about how we draw spheres and cylinders. A sphere is a circle, and a cylinder is an oval shape with 2 lines that come off, and this. Which one do you think that this is more similar to? It's more similar to this. It might be a circle instead of an oval, but it has 2 lines that come out. We need to draw the bottom side of this cylinder, or the back side of this cylinder. Here's how you're gonna do that. Just like this bottom side of our cylinder here, this curve should match this curve. So this curve back here that you have for the back side of your shape, I'm using the wrong color. The back side of your shape should match this curve right here. Now here's what a lot of kids do. They say, I need to match that curve. Okay, here's my curve. And they make it match exactly. But here's the problem. This still looks funny. The reason it looks funny is because just like over here, the backside of our object is getting smaller. So we need to fit this entire curve in this smaller space. So the easiest way I can describe it is if this is really bendy, this needs to be really bendy. So we need to make this more curvy because this one is a very curvy line. If it were less curvy, I would need it to be less curved. So there we go. All right, last interesting shape for today. Or rather, today for me, earlier in the video for you. Maybe it's like midway through the video? I guess it's midway. All right, so what about a sphere? We have these weird blocks, we have this cylinder. How do I do a sphere? A sphere and all of that. It's pretty simple. A sphere doesn't really recede in space, it just kind of sits there. So it's just gonna exist. It is a circle. There is no going backwards. As soon as you draw receding lines from that circle, you are in cylinder land again. All right, so that is box number 2 with slightly more complex designs. In box number 3, we're gonna get even more complex, and I have some tips for you on how to make these receding lines go a little bit faster.